What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to be doing the Chelsea match reaction, match review and match analysis in the FA Cup semi-final, with the quadruple officially over for Manchester City. Before I crack on with this video though, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, you want to help to support my channel, then do subscribe, press that red button, press the bell and put your push notifications on. Also, don't forget social media links, they're in the description below and sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. My email also in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Leave a thumbs up if you do enjoy this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments below of what you made of this defeat. What went wrong for you for Manchester City yesterday? Let me know in the comments below. So without further ado, let's crack on with this video. We're going to start off first with the match review of what happened with this game. It was a very boring game, a game with very few chances. It was Chelsea that ended up taking the lead, but it was ruled out in the first half. Warning signs were sent out there for Manchester City and it was just offside. Then I felt like Manchester City was starting to grow into the game. It took us 25-30 minutes to get going. We made 8 changes in this game, so it's naturally always going to take us 25-30 minutes to get going. Thankfully, Chelsea didn't punish us in the first 25-30 minutes, and it was allowing City then to start to get more involved in the game. We was having not even half chances, was having a couple of shots at goal, straight at the keeper, not really challenging, not really making too much happen. And I felt like Manchester City's first half was summarised right at the end. I was furious, by the way. The referee allowed Manchester City an extra 20 seconds to be able to take a corner. Referee was well within his right to just to blow the half-time whistle and say, City are taking their time, you can go in for half-time, you're not having the corner chance. Kevin De Bruyne was taking it, all he needs to do, whip a ball into the box, ask a question, see what happens. Instead, he chooses to pass the corner, faff about, and because of that, the referee then blows the half-time whistle. City had their chance to put a ball into the box and blew it, and some of the defenders that had gone forward, furious. Why has the ball not gone into the box? It was just this miscommunication, this misunderstanding that just seemed to have just continued right throughout the game. It just didn't feel right, it didn't look right for Manchester City. Making 8 changes in a big game, a knockout game, an FA Cup semi-final, to me, it was never going to work. I said for City in my preview, don't do this. We did it against Leeds. It didn't work. I understood why we did it against Leeds. Big Champions League game coming up in midweek. We don't have a big Champions League game coming up in midweek. This is a big FA Cup semi-final, a chance for us to get to a final of a domestic cup competition, the most prestigious, most historic domestic cup competition in the world. And I felt like we chucked it away, playing a squad-rotated team. I understand squad rotation, 3 to 4 changes, freshen the squad up. Any players that are feeling a bit of fatigue, don't start them, make the changes. Next game, chop and change the next 3 or 4 players that have started the last couple of games and continue that squad rotation. 8 players is far too many. It's more than double the amount of squad rotation, in my opinion, that we should be doing. City did lots of squad rotation during our massive winning run through January and February and into March, and was only making 2, 3, 4 changes per game. It was freshening up the squad and it was working really well. Yet for some reason over the last couple of weeks we've been insistent on making 8 changes. I thought it was because we had that Champions League game. That's why we did it last weekend against Leeds, and he understood why we did that. Didn't really understand why we've done it in this game. Pep said after the game, gap between the Dortmund game and this game was only 2.5 days. Well, the majority of them players, they didn't play last weekend, so they should be able to play every 3 days. That isn't a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. We just got it wrong, and we lacked so much creativity in this game. I know on Twitter and people have left comments on some of my other videos in the build-up to this game saying how much we missed David Silva in that game yesterday for creativity, and I completely agree. But we do have creative players this season that can cause problems. Bernardo Silva's a creative player. Riyad Mahrez is in the form of his life right now for Manchester City, and so is Phil Foden. All 3 of them creative players, they're all on the bench. And I don't really understand why. All 3 of them players, they're all heading right into their prime. They can play every 3 days. Give them a rest against Villa. Give them a rest coming up in another Premier League game. We're at a point now where there's no return. The next 5-6 games, they're massive for Manchester City. You need your stronger squad going out. I just didn't understand why there was 8 changes made by Manchester City. It just looked so disjointed. It looked worse yesterday than what it did against Leeds. We were creative against Leeds. We just weren't very clinical, and we looked vulnerable on the counter-attack. Yesterday, we looked vulnerable on the counter-attack, but we weren't creating anything. We didn't score. We didn't look very good. That Wembley pitch is massive. You need to create space. You need to take a risk or two. Playing two defensive holding midfielders, Rodri and Fernandinho, it just wasn't going to work. I had that feeling from the team selection when it was announced yesterday. I just felt like it wasn't going to work for Manchester City. I spoke about it in my preview, how doing so much change, it doesn't work. It doesn't need to happen. Rotate some players, not all the players. And because of that now, you know, we chucked away 3 points last week. We're out of the FA Cup semi-final this week. If we stick with the same squad that's gone out against Leeds and that's gone out against Chelsea, we'll more than likely be in for a negative result against Aston Villa as well. It's suggesting one thing to me, and that is that Manchester City's squad depth, it isn't as good as what people make out. Yeah, there's multi-million-pound signings in that squad depth, but they're not playing on a regular basis. These players need game time. They need to be playing 4, 5, 6 consecutive games before they start to get into their rhythm and start getting the best out of these players. And so it just looks disjointed. We don't have 4, 5, 6 games for these players to find their feet. These players need to find their feet. I've not got a problem with 2 or 3 of them starting in a game. They've got first-team players around them. It's not as noticeable that they're not as match sharp as what they should be. It's very noticeable when you're making 7 or 8 changes, which is exactly what happened yesterday. That's why we have gone out. Team selection was all wrong, in my opinion. We go into the second half. I say we looked better. Did we look better? I felt we looked better once Kevin De Bruyne went off and Phil Foden came on. He gave City a little bit more energy. We looked a bit better when Gundogan came on as well. We was allowed. Chelsea made 4 substitutes yesterday, so I presume we was allowed to make 5 substitutes. Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, creative players left on the bench, didn't even come on. Final 10-15 minutes, why not chuck them on? We was chasing the game, we needed a goal. I don't understand. If someone can elaborate better in the comments below, then explain it to me, because I don't really understand Pep thinking for that game yesterday. I'm sat here 24 hours or so later thinking what could have been. And it's really, really disappointing. Not so much I've got the expectations of a quadruple, because I don't. I think it's impossible to be done. With so many big games coming up, something has to give, and something does have to give. Ultimately, it's the FA Cup that's had to be given up by Manchester City. That is what happened. But if that was the case, why didn't we put a U team out and chuck it back in the 3rd round and save some legs so it could be nice and fresh for upcoming games like the Premier League, like the Champions League, like the League Cup final coming up, so we don't have to do this squad rotation, so we can get things won ASAP, so we can turn our focus onto our main priority, which is the Champions League. That yesterday suggested to me more than ever that Man City's focus right now is on the Champions League. Well, before we play a Champions League game, we've still got a Premier League game coming up, and we've still got a Cup final. These are 2 massive games. That Premier League game needs to be won by Manchester City. It's kind of us playing an extra game. It's nice to get them 3 points, and we need them 3 points against Aston Villa. The only way we pick up 3 points against Aston Villa is if we go with as strong a squad as possible. If we don't, we could be in for another rough ride when it comes to Manchester City with so much squad rotation. It needs to stop. It really does need to stop, because if it doesn't, it's going to take too long to get things going. We're struggling. Ferran Torres struggled yesterday. Gabriel Jesus struggled yesterday. Raheem Sterling struggled yesterday. Benjamin Mendy struggled yesterday. Fernandinho struggled yesterday. I didn't think particularly that Joao, Cancelo and Ruben Diaz, experienced players, the Manchester City first-team players, didn't think they played very well either. And mixing with that, and that's why we've ended up going out of the FA Cup. And it's very disappointing. We need to respond. We need to respond very quickly. We've won nothing as of right now. Right now, best case scenario, we win a treble. Premier League, League Cup, Champions League. Outstanding season if we win all 3 of them trophies. But right now, we've won nothing. We've got a big game against Spurs next weekend, Carabao Cup final. Everything's on that game. If we don't win that game, we don't win the Carabao Cup. Trophy count goes down to 2. Premier League and Champions League. Outstanding season. Champions League's no gimme at all. PSG over 2 legs. It's very, very difficult. This is a team that's just knocked out Bayern Munich, the current holders, one of the best teams in Europe, arguably the best team in Europe. We're up against it. That isn't a gimme at all. Premier League, lots of people are saying it is a gimme. Well, 2 big Premier League games coming up. Aston Villa away, Crystal Palace away. Win them games. I'm going to join you in saying the Premier League's a gimme. Them games aren't won. We end up losing them games. Man United well in with it. Still 6 games to go. Still plenty of points to play for. City 11 points clear of Manchester United. They win their game in hand. It's 8 points. 6 games. That's 18 points to play with. It can still be overturned. The only way it can be overturned is through Manchester City dropping points and losing games. We need to make sure that over our last 3 games, we've lost 2, won 1, and that was thanks to a fantastic second half. We need to be very careful this isn't setting into our mindset, and we're not allowing this to become a regularity. Right now, it's the most important time of the season for us so far. We need to step it up. We need to focus. We need to be better. That yesterday, borderline pathetic. I hated the response of the City players and the coaching staff at the full-time whistle. It was like they didn't care. I care. The City fans care. Perhaps having fans into the stadium yesterday would have allowed the club to have seen that we do care and we want this, because yesterday I felt like they didn't want it at all. Right from the team selection, right through to the final whistle. That to me isn't good enough. That needs rectifying on Wednesday night. Hopefully the players can have that burning desire within them to go out and make a statement, win that game at Villa Park. Because if we don't, plenty of things to think about. So there we go, that has been the video. There isn't really much else for me to say. There isn't really much for me to analyse. City were very poor. We didn't create anything. We didn't do enough movement. We weren't utilising this big pitch and the space. Our passing was poor. We need to be so much better against Villa. We need to be so much better next weekend against Spurs on that same Wembley pitch, because if we aren't, we're not going to be winning these trophies. Nobody remembers semi-finals and exiting out of competitions. Nobody remembers when you get to the final. People remember you winning. People remember winning. I say this video after video. Winning breeds winning. There is no better way to prepare for any game than winning the previous game. We haven't been doing that over the last couple of weeks. We need to be very careful. I feel like there's a bit of complacency, a lack of focus, focusing on other things, focusing on things that the club are prioritising as being more important, like the Champions League. We carry on focusing like this, we could miss out on another trophy in the Carabao Cup. If we're not extra careful, we could end up allowing Manchester United an opportunity to make it squeaky bum time in the Premier League as well. We need to be careful that that doesn't happen. The players, they need a rocket up the bum. They need that. They need to focus. There is nothing won right now. Right now isn't a successful season. Trophy count is 0. Nothing is won until it is won. Need to get rid of that complacency out of our mindset. We need to be playing a stronger squad as possible that we can field. I'm happy with what I've seen on the pitch from the rotation to go with our full strength team for our next 5 games. If that means burnout, we burn out. It is what it is. It's been a long, hard season. We need to make sure now all our hard work isn't undone at the final hurdle, and we're coming away with trophies to make it a very successful season. As of right now, we're not going to win the FA Cup. We've exited the competition. Chelsea played the game as well as what they could have done. That was their way of going through, and they executed it to perfection in the second half with a goal from Hakim Ziyech. It was a good ball played across by Timo Werner as well, who, in my opinion, looked pretty much with a lack of confidence. I was impressed with Chelsea's defence yesterday, particularly Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger. He got my JSGC man of the match, so well done to Chelsea. They go through to the FA Cup final, where they'll meet one of Leicester City or Southampton, who play today in the other FA Cup semi-final. It is what it is. Premier League now our focus. Need to win on Wednesday. Big, big, big games coming up. So there we go, that has been the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What went wrong for Manchester City? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new around here. Plenty more Manchester City and football content to come. We're aiming for 17k subscribers now, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Social media links, they're in the description below, and also sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. My email also in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business enquiries, and I'll see you all again very soon for the next Manchester City video. So I've been JSGC. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.